Have you ever been betrayed by someone you trusted, only to feel like they walked away without consequences? Have you caught yourself wondering why the people who hurt you seem to carry on like nothing happened, while you're left picking up the emotional pieces? If you've ever felt that weight, you're not alone. But what if I told you that the pain of betrayal doesn't define you, but reveals your power? What if your silence, your self-control, your refusal to react is the very thing that echoes the loudest in the minds of those who wronged you? If this message resonates, consider subscribing, because here we dive deep into what it truly means to rise above, to live with wisdom, and to reclaim your peace. 1. Reclaiming the narrative. A new way to see betrayal. Most of us are taught to believe that betrayal is a deep emotional scar, something that breaks us permanently. That once someone violates our trust, a part of us dies. But let's flip that narrative. What if betrayal isn't a reflection of your failure to judge someone, but their failure to live up to who they pretended to be? What if betrayal isn't the end of your story, but the moment your clarity begins? It doesn't have to be the chapter where you fall apart. It can be the chapter where you rise, smarter, sharper, and stronger. The real wound often isn't yours to carry. It's theirs. Think about that. Betrayal says more about the betrayer than it does about the betrayed. It reveals their values, not yours. The betrayer may escape the scene quickly, thinking they've left chaos behind, but they can't outrun their conscience forever. Sooner or later, the weight of what they've done shows up, sometimes in sleepless nights, sometimes in failed relationships, sometimes in moments of quiet reflection, when they realize they hurt someone who never deserved it. And no matter how well they hide it, guilt has a way of surfacing, slowly and relentlessly. And here's the paradox. The more calmly you carry yourself afterward, the louder your integrity speaks. Your restraint, your lack of revenge, isn't weakness. It's the quiet thunder of dignity. It tells the world that while someone tried to harm you, they failed to redefine you. You didn't crumble. You didn't sink to their level. You stood still and let your silence echo. That kind of poise is rare, and it's powerful because it doesn't scream for attention, it commands it. Reclaiming the narrative means taking your power back from the story someone tried to write about you. It means rewriting the conclusion. Instead of becoming bitter, you become better. Instead of closing off, you evolve. You see betrayal not as a tragedy, but as a filter, one that removes what doesn't belong in your life. And yes, it hurts, but the hurt becomes a tool, a refining fire. It teaches you how to spot masks, how to protect your peace, and how to never again ignore your intuition. In truth, betrayal can be one of your greatest teachers, if you let it. It reveals the cracks in your boundaries. It shows you the value of discernment. And it opens a path to self-respect that's not dependent on anyone else's behavior. So no, you are not broken. You were never broken. You were simply shown who someone really was. And that clarity is a gift, even if it arrives in painful packaging. 2. The Stoic lens. Peace in the fire. The ancient Stoics understood something we often forget. No one can hurt your soul unless you let them. Betrayal might shake your circumstances, but it doesn't have to break your character. External events are like storms, they come and go. But your internal world, that's your domain. And if you guard it well, no betrayal, no insult, no act of cruelty can penetrate your core. That's what the Stoics meant when they talked about inner freedom, the freedom to choose your response, even in pain. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's the heart of Stoicism. It's not about repressing emotions. It's about mastering them. Emotions aren't enemies, they're signals. But they don't have to control you. You can feel the sting of betrayal and still choose grace. You can acknowledge your anger and still act with wisdom. That's not denial. That's maturity. To stay calm when you could rage, to remain composed when provoked, that's not indifference. That's discipline. It's a testament to your inner fortress. Because rage is easy, revenge is easy, but mastery is rare. It requires you to sit with discomfort, to breathe through your trigger, and to choose a higher path. And in doing so, you don't just protect your peace, you elevate it. Your dignity in adversity is not just for you. It becomes a mirror, a reflection that others, especially the betrayer, can't ignore. When someone wrongs you and you respond with unwavering grace, they're forced to see the contrast. Your calm exposes their chaos. Your integrity highlights their lack of it. And while they might not admit it, it stings. Because deep down, they know they've lost something valuable: your trust, your respect, your presence. Stoicism invites you to shift your focus from control to composure. You may not control what others do, but you can always control what you become in response. Let betrayal be the fire that tempers your spirit, not the one that burns it down. Let it shape you into someone who doesn't flinch at life's storms but stands with poise, anchored in principle. That's real strength. That's peace in the fire. 3. Tools for self-control. Walking the talk. So how do we actually practice this? How do we respond without reacting? It's one thing to talk about dignity and calm. It's another to live it in the moment, especially when betrayal hits like a punch to the gut. But this is where transformation begins. Not in grand gestures, but in small, deliberate choices that add up to self-mastery. First, pause. Don't let your emotions rush to the steering wheel. Take a breath. Create space between stimulus and response. That's where your power lives. It might sound simple, but that one moment of pause can prevent an avalanche of regret. It's not about ignoring your feelings. It's about not letting them dictate your actions. The pause is sacred. It's your first act of control. Second, reflect. What does a dignified version of you do in this moment? Not the version that wants revenge, but the one committed to growth. What kind of story do you want to tell yourself later? That you stayed calm? That you rose above? Or that you stooped low and matched the betrayal with more damage? Reflection invites your higher self to the conversation. It reminds you that pain doesn't give you permission to abandon your values. Third, choose your response. Maybe it's silence. Maybe it's a kind goodbye. Maybe it's moving forward with no explanation at all. Whatever it is, let it reflect your highest self, not your wounded self. A response that honors your growth is always more powerful than one that tries to even the score, because in the end, the goal isn't to punish them, it's to protect your peace. And here's the kicker. Empathy doesn't mean you excuse the betrayal. It means you understand it was never about you. It was about their flaws, not your worth. That realization is freeing. You stop internalizing their behavior. You stop asking, what did I do wrong? And start understanding, they showed me who they are. Now I get to choose who I want to be. Self-control is not about suppression, it's about direction. It's taking all that energy, the hurt, the rage, the confusion, and channeling it into something noble, into becoming someone unshakable, someone who responds with wisdom, even when the world throws its worst at them. That's not just power, that's legacy. 4. What psychology and philosophy reveal. Modern psychology backs this up. When betrayed, your brain naturally seeks meaning. But meaning isn't just found in pain, it's also found in response. Betrayal activates the same regions of the brain that register physical pain. Neurologically, your mind treats emotional wounds like injuries to the body. That's why betrayal feels like being punched in the chest or having the wind knocked out of you. But your brain doesn't stop at pain. It starts to search for patterns, causes, and reasons. It tries to make sense of the chaos, and this search can either become your prison or your path. If you let the pain define the meaning, then every thought becomes tainted with distrust and fear. But if you turn your attention to how you respond, to the actions you take after the betrayal, then something shifts. You realize that meaning doesn't have to be what happened to you. It can be what you choose to do next. You start to write your own definition of the event, one based not on weakness, but on strength. Those who rebound with resilience often write new chapters of their identity. They become stronger, not because they never hurt, but because they chose to respond with grace. Psychologists call this post-traumatic growth, the idea that people can become more insightful, compassionate, and focused after hardship. It's not just about surviving, it's about evolving. When your sense of trust is shattered, you're forced to reassess your core beliefs. That's painful, but it also presents an opportunity. You discover what you value, who you are, and what truly matters. Many who experience betrayal emerge from the wreckage with a stronger sense of boundaries, clarity, and self-respect. They become more discerning, more grounded. Grace becomes their armor, not weakness, not avoidance, but a deliberate choice to rise above the damage. Resilience is not just bouncing back, it's building forward, and every scar becomes part of a new story, one where you are no longer just a victim, but the author. Forgiveness isn't about letting someone off the hook. It's about freeing yourself from the emotional chain they put you in. It's about saying, you don't get to decide how I feel about myself. This is where psychology and Stoicism meet. Psychology reminds us that unresolved resentment can become a toxic loop. The more you replay what happened, the deeper the emotional grooves become. Bitterness can start to feel like control, but in truth, it controls you. Forgiveness, in contrast, isn't denial. It's not pretending it didn't happen. It's acknowledging the pain, then choosing to no longer carry it as a weapon against yourself. You aren't saying the betrayal was okay. You're saying that you deserve peace more than you deserve revenge. Stoic philosophy agrees. Nothing external should hold sway over your internal state. Your emotional clarity is yours alone. To forgive is to reclaim your narrative, to say, you hurt me, but you don't get to own me. That's not weakness. That's liberation. And the moment you stop letting betrayal narrate your story, you begin to write your own. That's what Stoicism teaches, that suffering isn't what happens to you, it's how you choose to face it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are pained by external things, it is not they that disturb you, but your own judgment of them." Stoicism doesn't ask us to become numb. It asks us to become wise. It teaches that betrayal is a test of our inner world. Do we let the actions of others shape our identity, or do we rise above them with clarity and courage? The shift begins when you stop obsessing over their reasons and start focusing on your response. You cannot control their lies, their disloyalty, or their motives, but you can control the story you tell yourself about what happened. That is where power lives, in your interpretation, in your discipline, in your stillness. Betrayal is not the end of your story, it's a turning point, and how you turn the page is entirely up to you. 5. Your response defines you. Here's the truth no one tells you. Betrayal might be loud at first, but it's your silence that lasts longer. When someone betrays you, it's a thunderclap. The noise of it reverberates in your chest, your thoughts, your conversations. People talk about it, you replay it. The emotions are intense and immediate: shock, anger, heartbreak. But over time, something strange happens. The sound fades, the noise dies down. And what people remember is not what was said in the moment, it's what wasn't said. Your silence becomes a signal. It speaks to your strength. It tells the world that you don't need to scream to be heard, don't need to fight to prove your value. Silence can feel like surrender in the beginning, but it becomes a fortress over time. It's the space where you gather your power, recalibrate your sense of self, and decide how to move forward on your own terms. People remember how you handled disrespect more than the disrespect itself. That calm, that stillness, that refusal to lash out, it becomes a legacy. Your peace becomes proof of your power. Disrespect comes in many forms: gossip, lies, betrayal, abandonment. But your reaction has the potential to eclipse the offense. When you don't retaliate, when you don't degrade yourself by matching their behavior, people notice, and more importantly, you notice. You become the person who doesn't allow chaos to pull you out of alignment. That is a rare kind of dignity. People will forget the exact words someone used to hurt you, but they'll remember how gracefully you walked away. They'll remember that you didn't crumble. They'll remember that you stayed rooted while others unraveled. This is not about reputation. This is about self-respect, about integrity, about knowing that when your peace is disturbed, your best revenge is to maintain it. And eventually, even the betrayer feels the weight of that contrast. Your serenity becomes their shame, not through vengeance, but through contrast. People expect drama. They expect conflict. Especially those who betray. They often want a reaction, a reason to justify what they did. But when you give them nothing, when you meet their storm with stillness, the spotlight turns inward. They begin to feel the awkward silence of their own choices. Your peace reflects their disorder. Your self-control becomes a mirror they cannot look away from. This isn't about superiority. It's about integrity. It's not that you're trying to shame them. It's that your refusal to break down quietly holds them accountable. Without a single word, your presence becomes a reminder, a silent echo. This is who I am, and no betrayal can change that. So, when they expect you to fall apart, and you rise, when they hope for your breakdown, and you build, that's the moment you win. Not over them, but over yourself. Victory isn't in the downfall of others. It's in the discovery of who you truly are. When you rise from betrayal, not bitter, not broken, but stronger, you reclaim your narrative. You remind yourself that pain did not define you. You defined yourself. When you keep building, creating, growing despite what was done to you, it sends a powerful message to others and to yourself. You cannot be stopped. You are more than what happened. You are what you choose to become. Every insult, every stab in the back, every lost friendship or broken trust, these things become bricks. And you use them to build a life of meaning, purpose, and depth, not out of spite, but out of love for yourself. And that is the most powerful response of all. Let your integrity echo. In the end, betrayal doesn't define the betrayed, it defines the betrayer. And you get to decide what story you live by. Will it be bitterness or growth, chaos or calm? You hold the pen. Remember this: the highest response to betrayal isn't revenge, it's refinement. The world doesn't need more rage, it needs more people who know how to walk away without losing themselves. If this message resonated with your experience, don't forget to subscribe. Together we'll keep exploring how to live not just with strength, but with stoic wisdom and peace.